Welcome everybody, this is How to English, Teach and Learn with Gav and Em.
It's a podcast about teaching and learning English as a foreign language.
All opinions stated are personal and references will be given when necessary.
Hello, Gav.
Well, hello Em.
How are you today?
I am heavy. It's not working.
No. I thought I could start with an H word because today's all about H.
It is. H is the letter of this episode. We're Gav and Em. We're TEFL teachers. We're doing the A to Z of TEFLing around. And H is where we find ourselves this episode.
You guessed it, everyone. It is H and not H, which is weird, isn't it? Why is the letter H pronounced without a H sound, Gav?
To be honest with you, Em, some people do pronounce the H in H and it's okay.
Yes, that's true, Gav, and I actually grew up saying it like that. H.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H.
And now I say H.
Well, there's a change.
So, you gonna... Can't think of a word beginning with H. Are you gonna start? That is quite a good place to start. Do you ever do that with your students?
Is that a huff or is that a sigh?
It's a huffy sigh. Do you ever just do that when you're teaching? Just make that noise like...
No, of course I don't, Em.
It's an exasperated huffy sigh.
I might think it, but I don't express it.
I have some students that make that noise.
I just see it as a challenge. If they can't do what I want them to do, I need to find a way of making them do it.
Find a way to make it fun for them so they go, not like that. Yeah.
We want some more hums and less hers.
Yes.
I'm not sure how to write this in the transcription, by the way, but I'll figure it out. Don't worry.
What's your first H?
My first H is, and possibly the most controversial topic we've ever spoken of on the pod, in reference to TEFL and learning languages. My H today is homework.
Ooh, that does get a huff sound sometimes. Homework. What about homework?
My students don't do their homework. I'll just be frank.
Hi, Frank. My name's Em. How you doing today?
Have you any advice? Have you any advice for me, Em?
We're not going to keep doing that, are we? Stop now. I think you have to treat them as adults and let them choose if they want to do homework or not. You can't force them because this isn't school, and unless they're children and they've got a strict syllabus, that's my philosophy.
Would you like to hear what excuses they make for not doing their homework?
Yeah. Have you got some? Are these real?
Of course they are.
Yes, I'd love to hear them.
For example, I was on holiday.
Fair enough.
How is that fair enough? Surely if you've got a holiday, you should do some homework.
Take your books to the beach, maybe. It depends what the homework is, but yeah, if it's like, can you listen to this podcast? Absolutely agree. No reason why not.
Can you fill these gaps in your book?
Maybe not. I don't know. I don't fancy doing that sort of thing when I'm on holiday. But, you know, if it's, can you write a 300-word text about squirrels, then I don't know. I don't think they're going to want to do that on holiday.
But are they going to want to do it after work at 9 o'clock in the evening?
They're not at work. They're on holiday.
Exactly. So why not do it during your holiday rather than after work?
You think if you're going to have to do it in the fun time.
Yeah. You probably don't want to do it the weekend because that's family time. That's time for you to go out and, as you say, enjoy yourself.
We could deep dive on this because
we are deep diving. Let's keep going. I've got my shovel ready.
My point is,
you've got your digger.
My students usually do their homework at a specific time.
Is that 2 minutes before the lesson starts, by any chance?
No, Gav. No, they're on the train, maybe on their way to work. They've got their little routine thing, and when they're on holiday, they don't have that routine. So suddenly, they're at the aqua park. They're dancing. They're drinking cocktails or mocktails. They're not thinking about homework, and I don't blame them for that.
Well, I think they should be. If they are serious students and they expect to get results, then they should be putting the hours in.
Yeah, well, we know you're a bit of a tough taskmaster when it comes to homework. Go on, what other excuses?
I left my book at work.
We'll go back to work and pick it up. Get it. Unless it's homework you want done for Monday morning, no, that is not a good excuse.
Maybe arrive early for work and then you'll have an extra 15 minutes to fill in those gaps or listen to that podcast.
You mean go to work early in order to do your homework?
Yes.
High expectations. Yes, why not?
I think these are all very poor excuses. And finally, I did have a student say to me that their dog ate the homework.
I don't believe you. Don't believe you. Seriously, that classic excuse that we just know is not true.
And you know what I said?
No, what? You didn't. You would have said, what? Where was your homework? What did the dog do? Why? Was it tasty? But on that topic of homework, do you send homework by email, Gav, or do you give it to them face to face?
As most of my students are online, I send them the homework by email.
And when you send it by email, how do you do that? Just talk me through what you write in the email, how you subject line that email. Do you CC everyone? Do you BCC people? Do you just, I don't know, what's the process?
The protocol is I go back through my sent folder on my email program and I find the previous email that I sent to all that group. I press reply all.
Oh, that's quite clever and very different from what I do. I've got a template and every time I send the email, I have to remember everybody in the class.
Well, that's really good for your brain, but I haven't got that sort of brain. I might forget somebody.
But I might use your tip because that's really good, just to find the last email, as long as that's not changed and there's no new students or there's somebody that's not there anymore. That is good.
And then I edit the subject bar if I want to say something specific about that homework task, or typically I write lesson feedback.
The same subject line every time, lesson feedback.
Usually, yeah.
How do they distinguish between the lessons?
They don't?
They just see a date.
I guess so.
Interesting. I write the date in the subject line, but it's just occurred to me that's kind of pointless because there's already a date on the email.
When they receive it, it's dated, surely. And timed.
Yeah.
That's nice, though, because then they'll look back through their email, whether it's in the junk folder or they've got a special folder for their English lessons.
Yeah, hopefully the second one.
Exactly. And then they can see dated weekly all of the homework tasks that they were sent by you. Do you write something like telephone idioms or
No, I just said
next
I write
week?
docs. The word docs
Oh.
with a full stop.
You just write docs?
Yeah,
DOCS, full stop.
docs for...
Documents?
Yeah, docs and then the date.
That is so professional. I love it.
Why do I sense some sarcasm in
Well,
your
I've
voice?
Thought you might write something like, as I said, telephone idioms one week, next week, car parts following week, ways to say thank you.
Very professional, but no, actually I don't.
So how do the students distinguish between your emails then, Em?
The dates are different, Gav. But yeah, I get the point. It's not great.
Continuing anyway on my epic explanation of sending emails to my students, I
Yes.
then drop that day's worksheets, if there are any, into the email.
Drag and drop.
Drag and drop.
Wow. I just go to browse my computer and...
Well, the folder's already open because I've literally just finished teaching it. So everything's still there in front of me. And I make sure that they've got the answer key, Em. Now, there's a reason why I'm highlighting this. Do you want me to double click on this?
What? Double click the highlighted section of what?
Do you want me to get a bit further into my explanation of why I
Yes,
make sure the
please.
answers are there?
Double click as in go into more detail.
Because then they don't need to bother me with checking their answers.
Genius. Genius, because I write, send it back to me and I'll check it for you. Why do I do that? I don't need to do that.
That's because
do
you're
I?
a very dedicated teacher, Em, and you've got a
No,
lot
I
of free
just
time.
No, I really don't have a lot of free time. And I should make notes because I can cut some corners. Send the answers with the document.
And
Yes.
of course, at the bottom of the email, I say, please ask me if you have any questions. And I'm quite sincere in this sentence. I'm not just saying it because I'm being friendly, but if
Yeah.
they do have any questions, they have to ask me the next lesson. Or, of course, they can email me.
Nice. Well, I put all the documents on my desktop so I know which ones I need to send. And then I just click them from my email browse document button. But that's a nice tip. And I think you're right. Always send everything, audio tracks, transcripts, answer key. Now I'm going to do that too.
Maybe drop a link or two for some online studies. So if,
Yeah.
for example, we did idioms, if we did present perfect, if we did some conjunctions, then I would go online and quickly find a couple of exercises that they could do some gap fills for, and obviously they can check their answers there and then.
Or a little video maybe they could watch, something to listen to with some links. That's really good. A little quiz.
I even had a student, after watching a video which I sent in a homework email, which was teaching past simple, my student came back to me and said, "That teacher was great."
Oh, the teacher in the video.
And I thought to myself, oh no.
Well, yeah. Try finding that teacher. Good luck. Anyway.
You're stuck with me.
Funny. Do you ask the students in the next lesson, did you get the homework? Does anyone have any questions?
I do, and usually the airwaves are filled with silence.
Or that noise.
Yeah, it's more kind of just looking around sheepishly, slightly awkward.
Well, I think it's just good to check that everybody's getting the email, because I've had courses where for weeks and weeks I've sent emails with homework and then just incidentally mentioned it in the lesson and somebody said, "Email? Homework? Huh?"
I've done that too.
And then you say, "What do you mean?" "Yeah, I've been sending them every week." And they just look at you blankly, or they say, "But I haven't received any emails." And then you have to find them all in the junk, or you have to make sure you've not got the wrong email address. So definitely a good tip in the first couple of lessons. Check everyone is receiving the homework. There are a lot of Tweety birds outside, Gav. I don't know whether our followers are picking up on these little Tweety birds.
I hope they are, because I am, and they're lovely.
If you can hear them, enjoy.
One more thing, Em.
Yes.
I'm really into writing down the key language that comes up in each lesson, put it in my notes, and then I put it into a very well-known AI that one might be familiar with, and ask the AI to write some useful sentences for my students, depending on what kind of industry they're in, or maybe if they're going on holiday, some suitable sentences. And then I cut and paste that, drop it into the bottom of the email, where the students can read through some of the key language to help them remember what we practiced in the lesson.
You don't send that as an attachment then, in a Word document or something?
I put it under the signature.
Why?
Because they're more likely to see it.
Because people don't click on attachments.
If they're not going to do the homework, they're not going to click on the attachments, but they might go to the bottom of the page. And I did have a couple of students say to me, "Teacher Gav, that is really good. I enjoy reading those sentences immediately after our lesson, and I can see the language again, and some really good sentences that I might be able to use it in."
That's good. I should think about that too, because I always send attachments, and maybe it's more immediate if it's there on the page. They might actually be inclined to look at them.
Up to about 30 sentences. I did send 60 once, and the student said
sentences.
it was too many. You have to experiment.
Overwhelming, because I think you, as a teacher, think, well, that's great. More is more. More is great. More is perfect. Some students might think, I have to read all this. Like, not that it's optional, but this is what my teacher wants me to do. So be careful with AI. Just, generate thousands of sentences. I'd love that, but not everybody thinks the way you do.
That is very true. Learn from yourself and others.
And AI. Wow. My first H word, Gav, actually is 3 H words. And it's something we've talked about in the past on a different episode. But I think it's worth going back to it, because English is renowned for these difficult little words called homophones, homonyms and homographs.
Oh, no.
You know it's a test, don't you? If I say the word wind and wind...
These are homophones.
No.
Homonyms.
No.
Hyperdiddly-doos.
The other one was homograph. It's a homograph. Wind and wind. So can you explain to me...
Hold on. Right.
Explain to me what a homograph is. Wind and wind are homographs.
They're spelt the same.
Yes.
But they're pronounced differently.
Yes. But
Homograph.
Sometimes pronounced differently. More importantly, they
have a different meaning.
have a different meaning. So
like
wind...
read, red, and red.
Like read, red and red. I was going to go back to wind and wind, my examples. So what is wind and wind?
What is wind and wind?
Explain wind and explain wind to me.
Is that a wind turbine?
Yes, wind as in wind turbine. And the other one?
Winds, because it's a turbine, so it spins round.
Oh, it winds.
Well, it doesn't actually wind, does it? My watch winds.
Does it? Is it from the 1940s?
It is. It's collectible.
It winds itself, or
No,
you wind it?
I wind it.
Well, you got to get that right, haven't you?
Like the people around me, I wind them up.
Right, see, it's a bit different. My watch winds. That isn't good English, is it, Gav?
My watch winds itself. It is wound.
If it wound itself, but it doesn't. You just
Wound and wound.
Are we going to wound and wound now? Wound, the past of wind, and wound as in...
To hurt somebody.
Yes, or a wound, the noun. Stop, Gav, stop. Okay, if I say new, as in N-E-W, new, and new, as in K-N-E-W, is that a homonym or a homophone?
It's a homophone.
Yes, very good. So what is a homophone? New and new. Does it look the same?
They look different,
They look
but
different.
they sound the same and they have different meaning.
That's right. They look different, they sound the same, and they have different meanings. So new, N-E-W.
It's not old.
And new, K-N-E-W.
Is the opposite of to not know.
Which is the past of not... Yes, Gav, the past of no. So that just leaves a homonym. I'm going to give you an example. Gav, if I say bark...
I say how high.
What does it mean?
Bark. I wonder if you mean bark of a tree, bark of a dog, bark of a...
How many kinds of bark are you going on to say?
Apparently there is a type of small sailing ship which is also pronounced bark. But
Everybody knows that, don't they?
But sometimes spelt B-A-R-Q-U-E.
Anyway, if I say to you bark, I expect you to say woof woof.
Woof woof.
Woof woof. But I think you're barking up the wrong tree with the wrong bark. No, the tree has got the wrong bark. Anyway, bark, yeah. So it looks the same, sounds the same, has different meanings.
And that's a homonym.
That's a homonym.
Now it is much clearer, thank you, Em.
Those are my first three H's. What's your next H, Gav?
My next HM is holiday. Now,
what's that, Gav?
do
holiday.
Teachers deserve holidays?
Yeah, we do.
Are you sure?
Yeah, 100%. What do you mean deserve?
As much as students do?
What are you talking about? Why do I feel like there's an agenda here?
I don't know what you mean.
We should all have holidays, and students should take their homework on holiday, as we've discussed.
Should teachers take their homework on holiday?
Do teachers have homework, Gav?
Should teachers take the students' homework on holiday?
Should teachers take their students on holiday? We don't know the answers to these questions, but what is it you want to talk about?
Let's say you have a 12-week course.
Yes.
Now, should the teacher book some holiday during that 12-week course?
If they want to.
Should the student book some holiday?
If they want to.
Does that mean it ends up being a 14-week course?
Oh, or a 10-week course. Depends on a lot of things. The budget, if there are other students on the course, if your company want you to do the full amount of lessons, whether your company will allow you to have a holiday and take that into account so you haven't got to catch up on that holiday.
There may be a minimum number of students within each class that you teach.
Yeah.
You may need to teach all students every lesson for those 12 weeks.
Right.
It is quite a lot to think about, Em.
Oh, I'm starting to think it's not worth having a holiday now, Gav.
But we do deserve holiday.
We sure do.
And so do the students.
They definitely do. But it takes some planning. I get what your point is. Consider this before you decide to have a holiday. See if you have got any intensive courses on your calendar,
Or,
maybe.
alternatively, if you have some holiday booked, don't start a course.
If it works out like that, that's true. Mm.
And just one more thing, Em.
Yes.
Do you think the students should attend the lesson even if they are on holiday?
Not just do their homework on holiday, but actually come to the class on holiday.
Physically or electronically?
Well, I guess your students are having so much fun on their course that they couldn't bear to have a day off, and they probably will come along while they're on the beach, drinking their mocktails. But I wouldn't put that kind of pressure on my students to say you should come if you're on holiday. But of course you're welcome to if you want.
Is that passive-aggressive?
No, why would it be? Of course not. Depends on the students. I think some see it as work and others see it as a fun thing that they do in their free time. So it's not clear to me. I think it's a very personal thing.
Let's leave it down to the students. Or up to the teacher. Anyway, that was just my observation, Em. My next H
Isn't it my turn?
No,
I thought it was.
that was just a quick aside.
All right, okay.
I don't think we've got time to go through my full list of hot trends and innovations in English training,
Okay.
but I might just like to highlight a couple of them.
Right.
Number 1, global citizenship and student empowerment. Encourage learners to engage with global issues and become proactive agents of change.
Nice.
And I will point them to the UN Sustainable Development Goals, and I'll put a link in the show notes for everybody to check it out. There's some really good books on this as well, and some nice courses that are all based on these development goals for learners.
You mean they're English language based courses based on these topics?
Yes.
Wow, that's amazing.
That is cool. And there's a couple of others. Inquiry-based learning and critical thinking for our students, Em. We need to get them focused on some meat of topics.
That sounds like fun.
It does, doesn't it? Don't just skim the surface, but get deep inside those topics, really critically assess and disembowel.
Extrapolate.
That's better. Those topics.
Okay, good.
Think about your interpersonal skills development.
Interpersonal skills development, meaning just be nice to each other.
Move beyond grammar and vocabulary. Include skills like active listening, rapport building, and conflict management, preparing students for real-world communications, Em.
That's good. I'm trying really hard to actively listen, but these are really big words you're using.
That's because they all come from a really nice article online from British Council Voices magazine, and I'll put a link in the show notes too.
That's great.
Em, give me an H.
I'm going to mix up two here. I'm going to do hypothetical, which I love because it's all about if. So hypothetical sentences, and headset, Gav. Headset. So we are mainly online now, teaching on many different platforms. A headset is integral, in my opinion, to successful teaching.
I wish it was integral to all of my students as well, because they're sitting halfway across the room shouting at me, and me saying, I can't hear you still. Can you come a bit closer to the microphone?
That's what I wanted to ask you, my if question. So if a student is sitting on the other side of the room without a headset, do you say that? Do you say, can you come closer or not? What's your strategy?
I twist my head, I lean forward, I cup my hand around my headphone and say, I can't really hear you very well. Can you come a bit closer to the microphone?
Nice. Okay.
Or have you got a headset?
Yeah. So if that student is wearing a headset, they're moving their mouth but there's no sound coming out, then what would you do if that happened?
I point to my earphone and I mouth, I can't hear you.
Yeah.
I can't hear you.
Oh, you type in the chat, I can't hear you. And then usually what happens is the student will realise their microphone is flipped up above their headset, and then they have to flip it down.
Only needs to be half an inch away from your mouth, and you cannot hear them anymore. Or, as you said, if you flip it right to the top, it just mutes.
Yes, Gav, that's right. But it's also happened where the student has just held up the end of the cable of the headphones or the headset that is not plugged in.
It's got a cable?
Sometimes. Sometimes it has. Obviously, there are mainly Bluetooth ones, but they've got their own issues. I think Bluetooth connection doesn't always work. Or they're not charged, maybe.
Have you got some more if questions for me?
Yes, what do you do if your headset isn't working?
I buy a new one.
And if you're in the lesson and it's not working? You just started, you press join, the student saying, I can't hear you.
I mouth, I think it's you. I think it's you. Mine's working.
That sounds desperate. It might not be you. I mean them.
I disconnect the Bluetooth. I reconnect the Bluetooth. I go through all the settings on the computer and in the video platform. And if it's still not working, I might have to unplug it completely, disconnect it.
And then you're just a person in a room shouting at a screen and they're saying, I can't really hear you, Gav. Have you got a headset?
Exactly.
Oh, it's a big circular thing. But we did practice a lot of nice if phrases in that conversation. So even just that topic is quite a nice one.
That is nice. That's something that a lot of people can relate to these days, teaching and learning online.
Exactly. And then you could go into any other technical problems and have you had any other problems with your camera before. I've had some really good stories from my students when I've asked them what's gone wrong during meetings.
It's a hazardous occupation, Em.
H for hazardous.
H for hazardous.
Hazardous. Hazardous.
H for hazardous.
Sounds like a magic word. Magic spell. Are we out of H's now, or have you got one more?
I have got one more, but I can't remember how it relates to H, except that every one of these phrases begins with H.
Right. Well, that's nice. You've got some H phrases. Go on.
I think these are tips for improving your speaking skills, and they all start with H, so I think they fit very well in today's episode.
Nice. H phrases for improving your English.
Improving your speaking skills.
Speaking skills, sorry.
Let me start with hear yourself.
Ooh. Record yourself speaking and listen and decide if you like it or not. And if you don't like it, fix it.
You could do that. It is a good way of building confidence and questioning your skills.
Or seeing your gaps, maybe, where your pronunciation is a bit troublesome.
A little ropey.
You could send it to your teacher. No, you don't need to send it to your teacher because they hear you all the time. But
I think they can. It's a great exercise. The teacher sends the task. Record 10 sentences of you talking about your last holiday, and then
that's nice.
Send it to the teacher. Teacher checks it, gives you a bit of feedback. That's nice.
It doesn't have to be a written thing, does it? That's good. I like that.
Have a structure.
What does that mean?
Make sure that your speaking is organised. You're not simply saying the first thing that pops into your head, but have somewhere that you start.
Yes.
Have somewhere that you continue towards, and then hopefully you'll have somewhere to finish.
It would be great if we all did that, wouldn't it? But I often don't have any start point, end point, or middle. It's just a big mess.
I would consider going back to the middle and at least concluding part of that before you move on to the next one, Em. Hold eye contact.
Ooh, not exactly a language one, but it's an important thing.
It's very important body language during conversation.
Yeah.
But not too long, because then you look scary.
You do.
Creepy. Slightly frightening. Menacing.
Yes.
Harness. Pauses.
I was never going to put those two words together. Harness pauses. Use the power of a pause.
Use silence to gather your thoughts and sound more natural. Also, a pregnant pause can really get somebody's attention.
Ooh.
What I need to tell you is really important.
That works. Very, very powerful, but you have to be quite confident to do that, I think. Harness pauses. Great.
Handle nerves.
Handle nerves. It's easy to say, hard to do. But yes, try and find a strategy that works for you, even if it's just singing happy birthday to yourself.
That might work just before your lesson.
I don't know why I said that. That's
if you've
really
got a favourite
random.
song.
Yeah, favourite song. Happy birthday every day.
It's a nice song. Everybody knows it. Maybe you could get others to join you. And finally, hook your listener.
How do you do that?
Em, I've got a really good story for you.
I'm all ears.
You would not believe what happened last week.
Ooh. Okay, so you're talking about phrases like, get a load of this, or you'll never guess what happened to me. Yeah, these are nice.
A good way of hooking people in order to get them to pay attention to your story could be by challenging them with something. Do you know this thing? And they suddenly think, I don't know that thing, and now I need to know. I'm going to have to listen to Teacher Gav all the way to the end of his story.
Yeah.
Or something like, I discovered, I found out this week. Yeah, some of these are really key phrases, but also with some deep meaning.
Or a journey, and then this happened, and after that, and next, and subsequently.
It leads to expectations from the listener, I think.
These are good strategies, definitely.
Hook your listener.
This joins on very well, Gav, to my last H, which is hyperbole.
Hyperbole.
I never know how to say that
Hyperbole.
word. I always have to check it.
Hyperbole.
I think it's hyperbole. It's Greek, so you have to say every vowel sound. Hyperbole. And if you're telling a story, it can really help to make it more interesting, more engaging for the other person if you use hyperbole. So, for example, if I say, today I left my house and I walked out and I could see my neighbour in the garden, and the neighbour has a very big tree, And it annoys me that the tree is in my side of the garden. And every time I speak to the neighbour, I say about this tree and I ask her to cut the tree. And I must have asked her 1,000,000 times to cut the tree and she still doesn't cut the tree. So you can see where my hyperbole was there, Gav. Did you notice?
I did notice it. Was it 1,000,000 times that you asked the neighbour to cut down that tree?
Yeah, because I haven't actually asked her 1,000,000 times, although it feels like it. But these phrases are there just to make it sound more dramatic and interesting.
It certainly did. You were using figurative language and deliberately exaggerating.
Exactly. I'm so hungry, I could eat. I'm so hungry, I could eat.
Me too. I'm absolutely famished.
I could eat horse.
Oh,
is
yes.
what we say commonly. I could eat a horse.
I could eat a horse.
I don't actually want to eat a horse, but yeah, we say it. Have you got any examples that come to mind?
I have a short list. Would you like to hear a few?
Yeah.
It was so cold, I saw polar bears wearing jackets.
What? That's not a common one, but I like it. I saw polar bears wearing jackets. Lovely.
I think that was also an exaggeration of how cold it was.
Yeah.
I'm dying of laughter.
Dying of laughter. Oof, good way to go.
I've been waiting forever.
Not really, though, is it? It just feels like a long time.
My backpack is killing me.
Okay. You know, when I actually think about that, it is quite a
I've
comical
never
word.
actually thought about that.
Yeah. I just think because it's so heavy, but it could actually be more active than that. But
It's kind of gobbling me up inside. That was the best day ever.
oh, I like that.
This is the best episode ever.
Yeah. There's going to be another one that'll be even better. But yeah, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about.
Hyperbole.
Yeah, just spices it up a bit, doesn't it?
It certainly does. My H for the tip for this episode, Em, is have a break.
Oh, that's nice. Maybe you need a holiday, Gav. I'm feeling like you had a bit of a theme this week.
Certainly, it's something where you can just relax, enjoy yourself, forget about all your woes, and a bit of fun.
So it could be going for a walk, baking a cake, playing an instrument, listening to some music, reading a book.
Whatever gets you chilled, just do that for a bit. Have a break. H for have a break.
Have a break.
H for have a break.
Because when you come back, you'll be super powered and ready to go and an even better teacher than the one you were before you had the break.
And learner.
Yes, also for learners. And my non-related H tip is handouts, Gav.
Handouts.
Do you remember what those are?
It's been a while now. I think I just emailed everybody, as we mentioned earlier.
As we mentioned earlier, I think the phrase that could have been an email is a good one, not just for meetings, but
Because I could have ignored that
handouts.
much easier than you giving me this piece of paper, which I now have to put in the recycling.
Hey, no. They're not for ignoring. But I do think we should reduce our paper consumption and electricity. And, well, that's not exactly true with electric emails. But anyway, I just think you don't have to use a photocopier. You don't have to use the paper, the ink. So if you can email it, if you can digitalize it, if you can maybe say to your students, take a photo of the whiteboard rather than I've made a copy and I'm going to send it all to you, or any of this, just try and outsource if you can.
Conversely, I have had on many occasions, after sending an email to them with the homework the previous week, the following week they say to me, I printed that homework and I have it here, and they show it to me and they show me where they've filled out all the answers.
Well, that's relevant if the student wants to, but that is my point.
And then it gets filed away.
But that's great. If that sort of student needs the paper version and that makes them do the homework and they prefer that, I don't have a problem with it because that's their style of learning and I'm definitely all for that. I am that kind of learner.
It's nice to have a real copy of something
Yeah.
at the end of the lesson as well.
I need that physical copy. But if you make 10 copies for 10 students, I can guarantee you they're not
Is this
all...
a maths quiz? Hold on, let me get a pencil.
No, my point is I can guarantee there's going to be one or two of those people, hopefully not more than that, but there'll definitely be people who are less paper-oriented and they don't respond to that. So they will just bin it or...
Paper aeroplane?
Yeah, they won't respond to it. So you might as well save the paper.
I think so. Is there anything that you didn't talk about this episode that you wanted to?
A couple of things. I did write down Hangman. I was going to just have a quick chat with you about how you feel about Hangman, but I can tell by the way you're looking at me, we should have skipped that one anyway. I've also got the holistic approach, which is nice to think about.
Is that something about candles?
No, it's a well-rounded overall use of English where you're using all the skills all in one methodology. It's very good. And heuristic also, heuristic approach, which is self-discovery.
Everybody's so into heuristics at the moment,
They
Em. This
are.
is a buzzword.
That's it. So we didn't get into heuristics.
I still don't really know what it means.
It's one of those words, isn't it? I always have to check.
Described as simple strategies or mental shortcuts that people use to make decisions or solve problems quickly and efficiently.
I think it's a self-discovery method where you find out what works for you. And finally, we didn't really get into hybrid learning, which was a combination of online and face-to-face learning. But maybe we'll come back to that in the future.
There's always next time, Em.
Yes.
We'll be back.